Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on Trinidad Times Television, Segment 2 with Rusty Goodall, candidate for City Council. As we went over the questions before, and now going to be asking them, this segment is on economic development. And maybe as I stated before, for some people who are incumbents, Anthony really is the only incumbent, you may not know all these, and that's okay. But
Right.
I just want people to know, and I've stated this in the other interviews, I want people to know that I'm asking people the same questions so that people don't come back and say, well, you were fairer to this one than you were that one.
Right.
That's the point of all
Can't be
this.
partial. For it to be
That's
fair,
right.
you have to be impartial.
That's right. And if anybody, what I want to get across to people is that I'm trying to be as fair as possible.
Yeah.
That's what journalism should be. So,
Exactly.
okay, so here we go. With that being said, Rusty, what are the most pressing issues facing Trinidad?
Wow. I think there's a lot of pressing issues. I think, fortunately, some of the issues are not all bad. One of our issues that we're having right now is housing. And that's not a bad problem to have. And we're going to have to get some developments in here and get some housing built. Trinidad has grown so fast and has such a boom with the marijuana industry and businesses that have followed it. We've run it definitely into a seller and renters market where so many years it's been the complete opposite. And so we've got to get some housing going, affordable housing, and of course with the full funding of the Space to Create is going to help with some of that, but that's not a solution. I think one of our biggest issues is we have to prepare ourselves for marijuana to end, and what are we going to do next? So I think we have to prepare ourselves by investing back into this community to prepare for the future beyond marijuana.
Okay. All right. So if you could fast forward 4 years, what would you like to see if you could jump ahead in time as where are we in Trinidad? What's happening?
So what I would like to see is our population between 11 and 12,000. One of the reasons for that, chain restaurants, the businesses that follow a population in that area, the tax base off of a population in that area in support of Trinidad, how much more it'll support, less dependent on industry to support us. A tax base is always a nice place to be supporting our community. That's where I'd like to see more manufacturing jobs and more chain restaurants, more businesses here, and more self-sufficient community, 11 to 12,000 people.
I think there's going to be a restaurant going into La Porta that's, I can't think of the Purple Toad or something like, some strange name like that. So that's it. That's, and La Porta's coming along pretty well.
It is.
So,
and when we rezoned through planning and zoning the whole I-25 corridor, that was one of the main things we kept in mind for the growth of Trinidad to allow growth along our I-25 corridor, chain restaurants, little strip malls like in the La Porta area, stuff along them lines.
Right.
I'd like to see the comprehensive plan I've been part of writing come to full maturity to what we designed it for to happen. That's what I would like to see. And that is the same answer as I give you before, but that's how it would fulfill itself.
right. In other segments, I've given a shout out to Jay Shamino with all the money, and of course my wife works for him. But isn't that kind of helping us along, don't you think?
Well, let me tell you, me and Mr. Shamino, and we were both up for the Chenoweth Award last year that he won, and we share one thing for sure in common. I wish it was more like I had the money he has, but not. What we both share is our love for Trinidad. And for him to take and invest into this community the way he has, how lucky can we be?
Well, I went with Paula because she's one of his salespeople in January, February to one of their meetings, and at that time Mike said they had spent $30 million, and I don't think they're anywhere near done.
No.
So it's like, again, a shout out. I've done it in other segments. Thank you, Jay.
Yes,
we certainly appreciate
thank you, Mr. Shamino. Thank you.
Yeah, and the woman from Denver, that's bought the theater. So
Unfortunately, she's had a little accident. I heard she fell. Dana Crawford.
Dana, it was just escaping me.
She is investing into this community also. We've had a little setback, I think, with her with an accident. She broke something. I don't remember what it is.
Okay.
But it's people like that and that, what was it, the 191 Club she formed. We sit right in the middle between Santa Fe and Denver. It's roughly 191 miles both ways. Like-minded people as herself. With money that are willing to invest in and help small communities. And when she shows up with all her friends, they're all part of that 191 Club.
Right.
And if anyone wanted to know what that stood for, now you know. We're right in 191 miles roughly between Santa Fe and Denver. We're right in the middle.
I'd heard about that, but I've forgotten about it. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah, that's interesting. So we are about 3-4 weeks away from Paula having to commute to work 720 steps.
Oh, it's going to be tough, isn't it?
I think she'll do okay though. So still doing yoga and a few other things, so it's gonna be all right. You're not an incumbent, but Rusty, how familiar are you with the city budget? And what are the city's main revenue sources and expenditures?
So I'm becoming more familiar with the budget and the process because right now they're right in the middle of the budget. And so I think we're going to see being part of planning and zoning and working with my staff, as we so call it, which is the department head that my commission is under, and seeing the process and what's going on. I know they got some serious cuts. Everybody is under the impression that we've got all this marijuana money. How can we have a deficit on our budget? What people don't want to take into account and to realize is for how many years when we did not have the marijuana money, the beating the general fund took, the money from the city's utilities, instead of going back into our infrastructure, that went into just keeping this town alive, has taken a beatings, major beatings. So I think we're going to see some cuts. I'm not part of that process yet. I guess the next budget, with any luck at all, and I'm elected, if the people choose to do so, I'll be a bigger part of that budget. But out of the Navy in 1982, I worked for the city of Lovington. And I went up as a department head for Parks and Recreation, doing personnel evaluations, figuring budgets, expansion of parks, and was a big part of a budget process then. So I think it's going to lend to me the knowledge I receive from that and help me as I go forward to be part of the next budget that's done.
This is kind of a follow-up question. You may not have an answer, but one of the issues out there is what you said is you have so much marijuana money. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we giving it to the school? Why aren't we giving it to the county? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that a lot of people understand that that's not the way it works.
It's not the way it works. And everyone says, well, they suckered us into passing marijuana, saying the money was going to go to schools. And every penny they said that would go to schools does. But what people don't know is that is a matching fund. Your school has to have money to put up for the state to match. If you're in a poor district that don't have the money to put up for them to match, they're not getting the money. So it's not like the city can just say, okay, here you go. Here's $1 million, fix the school up. And it's not for infrastructure and stuff that it's designed for. Or, I mean, it's not for salaries, teachers' pay, stuff like this. It is for infrastructure, starting new departments, and stuff along them lines that the marijuana money is for. And I believe at one of the meetings I was at, it was discussed if marijuana money was given to the school to be used for a matching fund. I'm not sure how that's going to play out or how that's going to work. I think our marijuana money is getting invested back in. I believe a big part of the space to create funding that was given was taken from marijuana money. I think they've invested in Noah's Ark. Those who can remember before Noah's Ark was here, when we had a dog pound where they backed a truck up to a building and hooked to the exhaust pipe, and they did away with the animals. and it costs way more than the $400,000 to operate that department, than the $400,000 investment in a building on city property that the city will own. They didn't give Noah's Ark $400,000. They invested in that animal shelter to the tune of $400,000 and giving them a structure on city property so they can fix it up and operate. It's cheaper than them operating a dog pound through the city. The money for Monument Lake for infrastructure up there, we're seeing the money. I believe we'll see money invested into the movie theater that'll come from marijuana when Dana Crawford gets going on that, because it's all an investment. They're looking at the Pocket Park on Commercial possibly going in with Mr. Shamino again. The city will have to invest money, a possible amphitheater. I've seen renderings, different things. We're seeing the marijuana money invested back into this community and our infrastructure. It's not as visible as some people would like it to be, but working with the city and where I'm at, I do see a lot of the money going to them areas. And everyone likes to think there's more money than what there is. Well, by the end of the year, there's going to be more than that. Well, that's just like me taking my paycheck because I'm guaranteed to have another one next month, investing it in lottery tickets, then I lose my job and now I've spent all my money. The city can't take that marijuana money they don't have and start investing it and giving it away. All them numbers don't come in until the end of every year. So there's money there that's not accounted for yet,
Right.
but they can't start giving that money out or saying, well, we're gonna have. That's when you get a perception from the public that's not very good, when you start counting on stuff you don't already have.
This is a little bit off the rails, but what you said, I have pets, you have pets. They used to back a truck up and that's how they handled it before. I didn't know this.
When the city had the dog pound, before we had a Noah's Ark shelter here, back when, and they operated the dog pound where Noah's Ark is now, before they
Right.
come in and took that over, when they euthanized animals, when they didn't get adopted and they had to do away with them, that was the cheapest form of doing away with the dogs. It was with the exhaust. And the dogs don't suffer. I mean, they do go to sleep, same as the people you see, but it's a terrible thing to put in somebody's mind, how dog pounds operate. But I want people to realize when they start thinking about the $400,000 donated to Noah's Ark, now you have a vision of what a good cause that went to compared to what we could go back to if the city has to take the dog pound over.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I have pets, and
Yeah. It's tough.
it's unconditional love, and that's hard to.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to read this next question. Industry recruitment is very difficult for rural communities, especially where healthcare, education, and workforce development systems are below par. And you may have answered this, but what type of businesses should we try to attract?
So I think it is tough to bring them into rural, but if you've lived in Trinidad long enough, I seem to remember back in the days when a Walmart distribution center wanted to go into our industrial park. And when Budweiser went to Pueblo, I believe Budweiser was wanting to build a distribution center. When the hemp industry first boomed in Colorado, they did come to Trinidad and look. And then Pueblo had $3 million to offer them to go there and the jobs that went there. That's another place I'd like to see some of the marijuana go is into an incentive program, or somehow, whether it's marijuana money or not, we need an incentive program started with money to invest in industries. We need manufacturing jobs, and we need to be able to offer them more than tax breaks and stuff. I can't remember the figures off the top of my head that Pueblo got in guaranteed jobs over a 3 or 5 year period, 18 jobs, 40,000 and up, only going to grow. Companies are willing to give you numbers like that, guaranteed salaries, guaranteed number of employees, but it takes more than just the tax breaks. We're going to have to take them dollars and give it to them incentives, so when they come in, they're not out of pocket as much, help them build. And I think we're open to any kind of industry that offers manufacturing, Walmart distribution centers, Budweiser, all those are good examples. There's other companies out there. We're on the I-25 corridor. Our industrial park sits on a railhead. I know it's a very crowded railhead. It's not easy to get freight in there, but it is possible to make that happen. And that's what I think we need for jobs, manufacturing jobs.
Okay, all right. Next question. The growth in the tourism economy has been outstanding over the last 2 years. Do you support this new tourism economy, and what will you do to continue to promote the tourism economy?
You bet. I support it 100%, and I get to see those dollars that comes from the lodging tax firsthand through the Trinidad Blues Fest. I believe they give us $30,000 last year for advertising. Through that, we did over $42,000 worth of advertising. It shows in our first year back after an absence. It played a major part in our advertising then to get the festival back. Roughly 4,200 people the first year. This last year, we're looking at 4,800 people. That's done through the money that's available through tourism to advertise not just the Blues Fest, but advertise this town, the marketing of this town, the branding of this town, all the stuff we're seeing ED and all them do right now, economic development, the flyers going out, that's all a direct result of the money generated through tourism and our lodging taxes and the new trolley in town. It's good stuff. And hey, we don't want them all to move here, right? We want the town to grow, right?
Right.
We want most of them to come visit and spend your money and leave. That's
Right.
tourism.
Right.
How can you not support that? That's a
Right.
big thing. We need to be a destination in Trinidad.
Right.
And once we do that, it'll play another part in us sustaining our growth and sustaining ourselves and stopping this boom bust cycle
Right.
I've seen it in.
Well, two events that I think people need to understand too is Santa Fe Trail Days and 4th of July. Even the people that stay here in a way are tourists, because if they go somewhere else to Raton or wherever where they were going for the 4th of July,
Right.
in Santa Fe Trail Days, some people say we don't get a lot of visitors, but those people are staying in town and spending some money, and people like a feel-good type of event, and
They
that's
do.
one of the things that I think we need to do
So
too.
go back to Santa Fe Trail Days when it was on Main and Commercial, and I was part of the Chamber of Commerce, and we had 160 booths set up, and it encompassed all of Maine from, I don't remember if it come all the way to the home
But they would stop before they get to the
right
post
here,
office.
clear down to Animas, clear down to the bridge on Commercial. We had bike shows with prize money, and car shows. We'd have 100 motorcycles, 120 cars. They offered a prize money. I guarantee those people that come from Canyon City, Pueblo, and everywhere else didn't drive them fancy cars back and forth every day.
Right.
Them people came here and stayed. And Linda Barron has come to me and asked. She says, we're ready to go back to Maine. We need help. And you're the man. I get this a lot, but I'm giving of my time. I'm going to help bring Santa Fe Trail Festival back the best I can. Those are dollars that can be spent through our tourism to advertise it. That brings people in to show them what we can have. We'll get economic development to invest in the Santa Fe Trail Festival as they invested in the Trinidad Blues Fest with an event downtown this year. In the newly formed entertainment district, which I think we're going to touch on here at some point in time, which with the help of the city, I was able to form. I wrote those articles of incorporation. I formed the corporation, set the businesses that are downtown. No more beer gardens, no more Coors and everybody making all the money, no more food vendors coming in. We're pushing people into our local businesses. We're going to do that with Santa Fe Trail Days. When we form the entertainment district, it goes clear to La Puerta. It gives us, and it runs from Bricks to Moose's, Animas to, I'm not sure what the street is there. But we can move everything within it. We're going to move the Santa Fe Trail Festival within that. We're going to get economic development to invest in it. We're going to bring back some bike shows, car shows, bring in some bigger music. We're going to get people to come to Trinidad, stay in Trinidad, visit that festival, and try to bring it back to where it was. Destination.
Okay.
We've got to be a destination.
Well, I've got to try to remember all that I want to say. The reason I think the Santa Fe Trail Days wasn't downtown, and people may not know this, is because of all the construction.
True.
Right.
Well, when the bypass was, what people don't understand, if there was a major accident on I-25, that was the route to go around, was down Main.
Right.
So until the bypass got built, we couldn't always just shut off Main. That did play a big part through the years, but that bypass has been built for a while. I think through the bust of the economy, and it drew away from our Santa Fe Trail Days. I think the economy is back. I think it's primed to build itself back to some form of its former glory where it was. It takes time to get it back to all the way back to where it was, but I think this is the prime time to get it back.
Right. And one thing that I've said at Chamber recently too is when we closed the paper, and Paula got called up to interview and said, what happened. And after she was done, because the guy was interviewing people across the country in communities like ours where, the economy had crashed. And she said, well, what are people doing to recover? And the guy said festivals. And so you're a big part of that.
Yes.
The other thing that people might not understand is what exactly, before we move on, what exactly is the entertainment district?
All right. So what the entertainment district does is it sets the parameters of an area, and we did from Animas down to Bricks, and from Main and Commercial down to the new La Porta. We wanted to encompass that. What the entertainment district takes is a minimum of one local establishment that serves alcohol to be a member, and it takes each establishment that participate in the entertainment district to have a board member on that seat. A lot of people think the entertainment district is my baby. It's not. I just helped create it so I could use it. It belongs to Moose's Martini Bar. It belongs to Ristra's. It belongs to Bella Luna's. It belongs to Tease Me, Treat Me. It belongs to Bricks, and it belongs to Water Grind. Those are the 6 liquor licenses that are on the board that control the entertainment district. Everything runs through them. So what it does, it eliminates any vendors from coming in, any beer gardens, anything else from selling alcohol and food within that district. It allows people in designated cups to walk into these establishments, purchase a drink, and walk on our streets of Trinidad and visit other establishments, not liquor establishments, other people that have stores within the town, and enjoy their drink while walking the streets of Trinidad.
Right. And I know one of the vendors said that night that you mentioned, without being specific, said it was the best night they'd ever had.
So
and actually beat one of the whole quarter that they had
there
before.
You go. One establishment told me they did in one night at the PreFest what they do in a quarter. Another establishment said they did that night what they did in 3 weeks. Another establishment said, we sold out. Wow,
Really?
What a terrible problem to have.
Absolutely.
We sold out.
Absolutely.
So it's another way of me supporting this community, our downtown corridor, our local businesses. Quit sending this money to somebody else. We got them on board. We got this formed. We look forward to next year having multiple events within that entertainment district. The PreFest again, the Santa Fe Trail Days, we're not sure what else, but we need to have 4 main festivals here a year. We need the Blues Fest in August, Santa Fe Trail Days in June. We need the 4th of July with some music downtown, not just the fireworks celebration at the baseball game, which is phenomenal.
Right.
Thank them. And then we need a fall September. We need to surround it with Artocade and some of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, everybody talks about the feeling in Trinidad is different.
It is.
And it's coming back. And trust me, I've been through a lot here, in Paula, and it's like finally,
Yes.
we're there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
But we're going to keep moving, so I don't take up too much time. But Next question is: the city created, and you've addressed some of this, but the city created an economic development department 2 years ago. What ideas would you have for economic development? It's kind of just asking a question I've really already asked, but
Right. I think the economic development was formed at a prime time and has benefited in all the numbers you see. I think are a direct result of marijuana right now. But I think we're going to start to see from this point forward, economic development is going to be able to run with the ball from marijuana forward. We're going to see more businesses come in as the marijuana planes off. Some of these nicely renovated buildings that we now have, we're going to see other businesses that are going to be able to move straight into these without having to invest a lot of money. Economic development is going to play a big part in that.
cool. Kudos to Jonathan Raven and
Yes.
the city for hiring him.
Young people with visions that the city is running with right now.
Right.
They got a lot of work ahead of them.
Right.
They've been able to come in on the marijuana, and I think it's been beneficial to their numbers. So now we're going to see them really get down to the brass tacks. We're going to see them get their hands dirty and let them take us to the next step.
Right. But we'd never had anybody like this before.
Nope.
We'd not hired somebody. So
That's right.
Kudos to the city for seeing that.
Yes.
Okay, next one. This is going to be a simple one. Last year, the city economic development focus was on stabilizing our downtown to create an attractive atmosphere for commercial businesses, rental assistant, facade redevelopment grants, Main Street patios, entertainment district, which you really did. How do you feel about all that?
I think it was great, and I've worked with different people in helping get that informed, and I know there's businesses that have taken advantage of the facade program and different stuff. I'm a big fan of the programs they've come up with so far. I think our downtown corridor, if anybody walks down it right now, and 75 to 80, maybe that number's even higher, the people you see you don't know.
Right.
That's what you need.
Right.
You don't want to know everybody you see walking them down the streets.
True.
Because they're tourists. If
Yep.
you don't know them, they're tourists or they're new to town. Either way, it's great for Trinidad.
Okay,
So
this-
kudos to all the programs.
All right, so this is kind of a softball question, but our vacancy downtown was 61% in 2015. It's now 29%. What would you attribute that to?
Marijuana. I would like to say I don't think it's 100% marijuana, but you got to say 80, 90% has to be attributed to marijuana. That's what started it.
Right. And the thing is, what I've stated before is having an older building, a 131-year-old building, I know how much it costs. At least we're getting these buildings fixed up.
Yes.
The electrical, the plumbing, the stabilizing the foundations and everything.
Right.
It wouldn't have happened otherwise.
It
And
wouldn't have.
I know how much it costs. I've spent 30 plus years doing this, and it's not easy.
It's not easy, and a lot of people were in uproars over the amount of marijuana shops that come into this town, and I told them all the same thing. They're not all going to make it. I know there's a moratorium at 20. I know we may have 13, 14, or 15. They're not all going to make it. Trust me, it's going to level off. You're going to have grow facilities associated with them. They're going to keep their pricing to drive the others out. Once they drive them out, you have remodeled, renovated buildings available for other industry. Don't get excited yet about the number of shops. It's not going to all be marijuana when it's said and done with. And when the day comes and we have 5, 6, 7, and everybody's going, well, that's what we needed to start with, you have to travel the full circle to see the whole picture.
Right. And this next question you've kind of answered, but if you want to rephrase it again, where should the marijuana money be spent?
I think the marijuana money's being spent exactly where it needs to be. I think we're investing in this community. I think every organization that's receiving it needs it. We're going to see more areas that are going to need it. We're going to see, as I touched on, investment in the Old Fox Theater being completely renovated. The possible amphitheater that may go on commercial, not only stuff like that that's going to be for more tourism to come in, more stuff for local people to have, but we'll see other organizations besides just a Noah's Ark and Monument Lake, and our infrastructure is, I mean, we're just touching the tip of that iceberg right now.
Right.
We're going to see a lot of money, I'm hoping, invested into the infrastructure of this town.
I had seen plans that Jay Shamino done years ago. Is that the Amphitheater? Is that one of his projects?
Well, this is a new, if you go north of Bank of the West, the new Bank of the West, you have the 3 buildings there, the old pawn shop, the old
Right.
Radio Shack building, which is already gone, but that property right there. So part of that is scheduled, all of it was scheduled to be tore down. I don't think they're going to tear all of it down now. I think we're looking at an investment in that area for, oh, I've seen renderings for possibilities. You know, I can't speak on for sure what they're looking. They're looking for an outdoor, like, food vendor scenario or an amphitheater for music scenario. There's a lot of possibilities. But it's projects like that that marijuana money will be used in part of to help fund on, because nobody's going to come in and say, well, here's all the money you need to do anything, everything.
Right.
They're all going to want an investment from the community. So we have to put up part of the money to get most of their money. And that's how it works. And marijuana money right now is being used for that.
Okay. The question, even though you're not on council, we lose 40% of our water from the source to the city.
Yeah.
What plans are in place to now to repair, and how can we not fall back again?
So, you know, that's one of the questions on P&Z, and just as a private person, an individual in Trinidad ask all the time. So I'm slightly familiar with this. How come if we're losing 40% of our water up the river, we're working in Trinidad? Well, the reason they started in the oldest part of Trinidad, because that's the grants they received, were to start here. Up that river is a priority. A lot of people are not familiar with slip lining. We have new technology coming in. A lot of our sewer is being done that way. The technology for the water is not quite there, but it is developing. They run inside the old existing lines, and then this material puts it inside of it. Then it hardens, and that is slip lining. Instead of digging it all up, tearing up everything, we're able to do slip lining on so much of the sewer. They go inside what's there, put a new lining in it. I'm hoping the technology comes available. It will make our job up this river between us and the treatment plant so much easier and so much more cost effective once that technology price comes down just a little.
Okay.
I mean, 40%, that's an unbelievable number.
This isn't where we're going to take a break, but this is where I'm going to change the tape.
All right.
Because I'm just about out, and I don't want to cut you off in the middle of a question.
No.
So, Rusty, picking up where we'd left off, this is the last couple questions of segment 2. What is your solution for Monument Lake?
Wow. I wish I had more information on Monument Lake and had an answer for that. I'm just not familiar other than using the facility for fishing. Since they closed the bar down through different people, we used to go up there on occasion and eat at the restaurant and stuff. I just don't have the answers for Monument Lake.
Okay. Well, as I said earlier, if you're unless you're an incumbent, you may not know some of these things.
Right.
Last question to this segment. Through the years, many meetings have occurred between city and county.
Mm-hmm.
I think not a lot has come of that. What do you see as far as your involvement with trying to get city and county officials to work together?
As with the county as with the city, I think we've seen a change within the city. I hope to see some of the same changes within the county. I like to see some younger people in there as commissioners. Some of the people that's been doing it for too many years, a little closed-minded. Their answer is taxes or something to solve the problems. I'm hoping with the changing of the guard, new people in there can be a newfound communication and a working relationship between the city and the county, because one affects the other the same. One
Right.
cannot exist without the other. I believe that. We
Right.
have to work together.
One last question before we go into segment 3. I know that you're not going to be at Meet the Candidates. Explain to the people why you can't be there.
Well, to further my education and training for the city and the job I do and any future jobs I could do for the city, back in February, March, before I even put my letter in for city council, a convention was already scheduled with training that I'll be attending the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So to further get myself informed, these are classes on ethics. They put you in scenarios of what you do and don't, what you can talk about when someone approaches you at Walmart. So what my ideal of ethics was before I went to one of these classes, and what applies to yourself as not just city council or commissions in a quasi judicial setting, is totally different than what it is. So anyway, that's the long answer.
Okay.
Short answer, I will be at training representing the city of Trinidad during Meet the Candidates.
Excellent. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tom Murphy, and this is Trinidad Now on Trinidad Times Television. We'll be right back.